All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some LPDS universe updates as usual. We got some sports updates going on in the world that I'm interested in, and maybe you are too, maybe not, who knows? And got a pretty good junction topic as usual, of course. And naturally, Nic Cage fact, as usual, of course. I just said that 3 times. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, all that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. Show that talks about nothing but finds the lessons and everything. We try to have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was pretty good overall. You know, fighting through the trenches, I guess you can say. Going through the trenches of building something and getting out on my own and figuring things out. And it's, the trenches are dark sometimes. Not sad dark, like emo dark, like I'm testing the strength of my shoelaces. I'm talking like dark, meaning you don't know where the end is. You're going in blind. You're just trying things out and seeing what catches. So going through the trenches for sure, which is fine. That's what I want to do. I enjoy, I'm a trench guy. I like being in the trenches and doing trench stuff. So I'm all on board for that. I don't mind doing it. I don't mind getting my hands dirty in that regard. So we're going, we're powering through. We're pushing to the right. We're making things happen. There was, I made an announcement sort of on my social media, but the team made an announcement. Spearhead is now taking on additional services that we offer, which is great, by teaming up with I don't even know the name of the team really. It's not really a team. It's an independent, team of agents, if you will. Excuse me. But Spearhead Leadership is as part of the leadership development, mentorship, and consulting, more so on the business side, but even on the one-on-one side, if people are in need of this stuff or looking for it. Part of that development will be offering insurance sales options, life insurance options for the businesses. So I'm excited to add that to our portfolio of things we offer. That was some of the stuff I was talking about earlier on when I got some opportunities in the works that weren't quite there yet, but we're kind of there now. So our teams have combined forces to help grow each other's, enterprises, if you will. And this is with a woman by the name of Stephanie Jacques. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly or not, but I actually met her. If you guys remember back in March, I went to that woman's business networking event where I was basically the only guy there. Well, I met her there. Her sister runs the event. And we stayed in touch, and we talked and we chatted and we worked and we networked and we built a relationship together, a professional relationship together, and now we're going to do a little bit of combining forces to where we're helping grow our enterprises, our empires, whatever buzzword you want to use for that. So I'm excited for that opportunity. I've already gotten some hate for it. I already gotten some jokes about it. Naturally, the same. It's basically the same crowd in my circle, not my circle, in the sphere of people that I interact with, that I expected it from. It's really, I don't know how to describe it. There's a list that I can guarantee, I can predict responses from certain people for anything that I do or I announce publicly within my life. I can basically predict this list of people what their responses will be. And some of them are supportive. Some of them are hate and pushback of this is stupid. I don't know why you're doing this. This is not going to get you anywhere. Some are jokes that aren't that funny, but we go with them. Some are funny jokes. I'll give them that. But you can kind of there is a list of people in the LPDS in my life, not really the LPDS universe, because I don't think they listen to this show. But every time I do something that's different or new, that's not what they subscribe to in their lives, I know exactly how the response is going to be. It's a little disheartening for some people, from some of them, that's just the norm, that this is what you expect from these people. It's kind of disheartening, but otherwise they don't affect me. So I don't feel the need to like have it out with them or anything like that. It doesn't. It's a waste of calories and energy and emotions getting on people for that. It's not going to change them. I'm not trying to change anybody. It's just it's a little disheartening to see so many people that claim to be in your corner that are always there with the jabs in the comments. But we press through here. Like I said, I don't think it's anybody in the LPDS universe. I'm pretty sure none of those people listen, because they would know what we do here. If they did listen to the show week in and week out, they would have a different tune. They'd be following the big three, first of all, and they wouldn't be doing, taking those jabs and stuff. So I more so feel bad for them as opposed to get mad or angry at the constant, predictable negative response to things that I do in my life. It's sad because what is my life like? How does what I do with my life affect their lives? Why does it affect so much that they have to do that stuff? I don't get it. I should probably just respond with links to the LPDS so they can listen and start following the big three and start seeing how they can become a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being. So anyway, I'm excited about this opportunity. I think this is big for what we're doing. Now, my operation, of course, is small right now as far as clientele and growth and income streams and what have you on the Spearhead side. But this is an opportunity that I think is going to be huge for the future of both of our teams and just in general. It's just a new opportunity to meet more people, do different things, gain more experience and knowledge and education on different things in life, and see where we can take this stuff. So, and the downside is, like, worst case scenario, I end up back where I started, which is fine by me. So the quote unquote risk is worth it in my book. So I'm very excited for this opportunity. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll talk about sports a little bit. Let's talk about sports a little bit because I love sports and it's a nice escape from other stuff I don't feel like talking about that nobody really wants to talk about, like news and politics and stuff. All right. So if you're following football, a lot of people are football fans. Let's be honest. Most of the people that listen in probably watch football. I know a couple that don't, but most people pay attention to NFL, even college football for sure. I'm a Giants fan. We know that. I've been keeping up with the Giants. They stink. I don't even like most of the time. It's not even worth talking about so far this season. They've been so bad, but the organization has recently hit what I would consider to be a new all-time low for them. Not so much in how bad they are, because they're playing terrible. I mean, they're playing terrible. They have no consistent performers, quality performers on any side of the ball. They don't have good defense. I was going to say defensemen, but defense. Their offense is a joke. Even when they have like a good running back, he ends up fumbling the ball when the game's on the line or something stupid like that. They just lost to what everyone was saying was the worst team in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. They got dog walked by the Panthers. It was almost too easy for them. Now, they won it at the end of the game because the Giants blew it. At the end of the game, they gave up a fumble to put the Panthers in field goal range to win the game. And then they had a bye recently, so they haven't played in a little while. But during that bye week is really where the organization is falling apart. And if you pay attention to football, you know what I'm talking about. It's the whole debacle with the quarterback, Daniel Jones. Now, if you're not following, Daniel Jones is a geek from Duke University. He got drafted by the Giants. I'm pretty sure he got drafted the same year as Josh Allen got drafted, and they drafted him before when Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills was still on the board to be drafted. They picked this guy out of Duke, okay? Because now I love Eli Manning, but the Manning brothers said, this guy's legit. He went to our camp. You trust me. You want to take him over anybody else in the draft when it comes to quarterback. This is the sleeper pick. This is the guy. So they picked this guy from Duke, Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. And I don't, I have to believe that when they picked this guy, they were going solely based off of the recommendation of the Manning brothers. Solely. Because all you had to do was look at this guy and be like, this guy is going to be average at best. Average at best. And and to be fair, he wasn't bad. For a number of years, he was average at best. He never had an offensive line to protect him, ever. He always had maybe 1 second to get rid of the ball, but he was average at best. He had a couple of good games here and there that were like, oh, this guy's got some promise, and that quickly fell apart. And he ended up being average. Middle of the road. Not terrible, but not elite, obviously. And then a couple years ago, he signed this big deal. Big for the Giants for a quarterback. It's not the biggest quarterback deal around. In fact, it was very mid-level if we're talking about quarterback contracts in the NFL these days. But he got 5 or 6 years, $160 million, something like that. Maybe if it was even longer than that. I don't exactly remember the terms of the deal, but it was $160 million. And ever since he signed that contract, his numbers have been a poopy. Just hot garbage. Hot garbage. His record in primetime football games, so like Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, the only game in town, maybe they count Thursday Night Football as primetime, he's 1-15. Well, the Giants are 1-15. Not all those games are on him, but he's part of the problem. He's average at best, part of the problem. 1-15 in primetime games. I think that's the worst record of any quarterback in history. And I just made that up. That could be completely false. I don't know, but it would make sense. If I found that stat right now and it turned out to be true, I would be like, yeah, that checks. The Giants have been absolutely god-awful for years. And they pissed that draft away, picking the wrong guy. Not bad. I feel bad talking shit about him because he seems like a nice guy, but he doesn't have he never had what it took. And you could tell, that's what I don't understand. You can tell looking at him. In the first game, they were showing, preseason him practicing and doing it, and you could tell he's got a strong arm. He's a big guy. He can move pretty good for a taller guy. Certainly better than Eli Manning can move, as a quarterback. So that was promising. But he is clearly a by-the-book guy. And what I mean by that is he memorizes the plays, he remembers the routes, and he plays the routes. He throws to wherever the guy on the route is. If things go haywire, he can't. That's it. He's done. He's not a street smart type of player, if you will. And I think I've talked about this in the past. And I've certainly vented to my friends about it, so I'm sure they're getting, they're tired of me talking about it. But he's not like a street smart player. It's almost like the guy never played recess football with his friends, like a roughhouse type of two-hand touch, but really you're getting after it kind of football where there's no plays. You just say hike and you have 5 Mississippis to get rid of the ball while your receivers on your team are just running random routes to get open. It's like he never did that ever in his life. Like he grew up like a Carlton from Fresh Prince with the sweater around his neck, and he only played organized football from peewee to prep to high school to college, only organized, and he had binders and playbooks only forever. Because as soon as shit hits the fan, which it did basically every play for the Giants, because the team is so god-awful, as soon as they hike the ball, his offensive line goes to sleep, and he has to scramble. And he just wasn't that good at it. He could scramble away. He could run away. He had some good legs on him, so to speak. So he was able to get some runs in. But I bet you if you go back to his stats where he had to scramble to make throws and plays, his numbers are probably not that great. I'd imagine he has a decent amount of interceptions, a lot of throwing the ball out of bounds, probably a decent amount of sacks from that too. But when shit hits the fan and the plan goes to shit, he could not think on his feet enough. He wasn't a playmaker in that regard. And that was something that Eli Manning was. You can hate him all you want, especially in the playoffs, though. Eli found a way to get it done. Daniel Jones just didn't. He didn't have that dog in him. His brain was not find a way to get it done. It was stick to the plan, chums. And then when the plan went awry, that was it. He's like, oh, shit, now what do I do? That's what it looked like every single time. His brain was like, now what do I do? But he still ended up, to his credit, he was playing on dog shit teams for the past 6 years. They had Saquon Barkley. That was it. And a couple of good defensive linemen. That was it, though. The rest of the receiving core was overrated, overhyped, super inconsistent. Their offensive line hasn't been good in over a decade. Absolutely terrible. Zero protection for the quarterback or for the running back or for anything. Terrible. So I can't dog on him too much, but he wasn't $160 million quarterback, that's for sure. Now, where am I going with all this? He recently got dropped down to be the backup quarterback. They announced during the bye week, the Giants organization, this is where I have the real problem here. The Giants organization said, that's it, Daniel Jones is hitting the bench. Okay, fine. I didn't have a problem with that. Let's try something different. I don't think it's just the quarterback that's the issue. The whole team has to be benched. They stink. But whatever. You want to make a change, make a change. From that announcement, within the next week, he went from starter to bench to third string. They made the announcement he's going to third string now. The next day, they had him on the practice squad. And then immediately, as soon as he hit the practice squad, they had him play safety on the practice squad. So he wasn't even playing quarterback. He was being a safety for the practice squad to get their reps in. And then as soon as that announcement hit, the next day, he's released. We're releasing him totally. So he went from starter to cut in the worst way possible, in the worst route possible. Usually it's just you're cut. You're on the team, you're off the team. Ones and zeros, black and white, on, off, on, off, on, off. None of that. They ran him through the gauntlet of embarrassment, of public embarrassment, because they knew this was going to be public. There's no way they're that stupid. Maybe they are. Maybe the Giants front office is that stupid that they thought that they could treat him like shit like that and no one would find out about it in 2024 with all the internets and social medias and people out there looking for the scoops. They were going to just keep this whole thing under the radar of how poorly they treated him. And he's still getting paid. I'm pretty sure he's still getting his money. So now the Giants are out. $160 million, and I don't have the guy behind behind the money to do it, behind the contract. He's now gone. And they could have just cut him. They could have just said, no, you're cut. I don't exactly know what went on from the time they benched him and said he was second string to the time they released him. I hope that after the circus act that they ran him through, that him and his agent were just like, just cut me already. This is like, I'm not like, this is demeaning. I don't have no problem. I'd be willing to bet, to give Daniel Jones the benefit of the doubt, I'd be willing to bet he said he was okay with doing practice squad safety work and whatever to help the team out. But the way they paraded him around doing that shit and making an announcement and almost bragging about it, that's what I would have had the problem with too if I were Daniel Jones. And he's probably like, listen, I don't have a problem helping the team out. You guys are paying me, so whatever. But don't treat me like shit. He did not do anything even remotely poor enough to be treated that shittily. And that's not a word, but we're making up here at the LPDS universe. So now he's off the team. Tommy DeVito, Danny DeVito, whatever his name is now the QB1. He's a starting QB. Look, here's the thing. I don't mind him. He's a good kid from New Jersey. He stinks too, though. He's not good. So I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't the quarterback position that was killing the team's chances of victory. It certainly wasn't helping. But Tommy DeVito is not he's not the answer. He is not the answer. They'll probably have maybe they'll have a short-term bump of motivation and momentum with him out there doing his little hand signals and all that stupid shit. But that's going to wane when they come to find out that he has his athletic ceiling, his capability ceiling as a quarterback is not what it needs to be to make the team a success, to be a successful top-tier quarterback in the NFL. It just doesn't. He's better than me, absolutely. I'm not a quarterback. But he has a ceiling. And it's not where it needs to be. His ceiling is too short, too low. And they're going to come to find out, and then they're going to blame him. And I'm going to feel bad for him because they're going to blame him for it, even though it's the whole organization. And really, right now, it's the front office. Because not only did you make the stupid decision to sign this guy when you had, and it was they had obvious better choices than him. Like if you go look at that draft class. Now it's easy to hindsight it and Monday morning quarterback, no pun intended, to see all the better options that were out there, that draft class. But if you looked at their college performance only, don't look at how well they're doing in the NFL, because some of them are doing pretty damn well, better than Daniel Jones, that's for damn sure. Look at their college numbers and their performance, and then tell me this Duke quarterback was the pick to make from all these other available quarterbacks. So they were stupid to make that decision. And then they treated him like shit in the end. Now, an organization that does that has something going on up in the front office. Shenanigans like that don't happen unless there's some issues going on up there. And I even said it a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it was on this show or just with friends or family or whatever, but they're going to do the same thing that they always do. They're going to fire the coach. They're going to get the new quarterback and a new receiver, and nothing else is going to change. And then the receiver is going to leave. The quarterback's not going to be great, and they're going to wonder why. The front office has to go. Okay? Whoever the GM is, he's got to go. Whoever the recruiting staff is, they all got to go. The scouts, they all have to go. Their offensive line coach, he's got to go. Their defensive secondary coach, gone. They all have to go. Okay? They all have to go. Whoever's responsible for the development of those players and the recruitment of those players needs to be gone. And the buck stops with the GM. Obviously, you can't fire the owners. They own the team. They could force to sell, but unless you're in a Dan Snyder Washington Redskins situation where he was, doing abuse and assault to the cheerleaders and other people on the team, they can't really force the Giants owners to sell just because they stink. They probably like that they stink because now they're not a threat. But something has to be done. If you don't have that bad of a team and then treat your team members that poorly like that on their way out. That to me tells me that it's a front office organizational issue. I mean, the fact that they've been this bad for 10 years with the same exact problems year in and year out tells me it's a front office. It's an organizational issue. But this was really the nail in the coffin for me. As much as I thought Daniel Jones was not good, You don't do that he did nothing to warrant that. There are so many other players in the NFL that would warrant that kind of behavior. They didn't even do that to guys like Antonio Brown, who stripped down and walked off the field in the middle of a game. They just released him, let him go. They didn't parade him around and tar and feather him in front of the media and everybody before, like they did with him. They didn't throw him in the gallows and have people throw tomatoes and cabbages at him before they let him loose. They just let Antonio Brown go. There's so many players you can name that deserve that treatment a lot more than Daniel Jones did. All the guy did was be average at best on a garbage team. So you're going to look worse than you are. And if you look at his numbers, they're not the worst. The last couple of years have been pretty bad. But overall, average numbers absolutely don't warrant that level of disrespect and demeaning treatment to the poor bastard. So I'm getting very close to writing off the Giants altogether unless they really do something to change their ways, because that was absolute horse shit. The team stinks. Every player stinks. Not one player can you say, oh, at least this person is consistently good. Not one player. They've all have made enough mistakes to where it's like we gotta get rid of these people. Absolute garbage of a situation right now for the Giants. And I can't go to the Jets because they're garbage. And I don't necessarily want to go to the Bills because I like the Bills, but I don't want to be a bandwagon fan. So I got to figure something out. I always liked the Browns back in the day. I had a Tim Couch jersey when I was in middle school. That lasted all of 2 games before they got rid of that douche. But, man, something's got to give with the Giants. They have to do something pronto. Front office has to go. Everybody, you have to scrap the whole thing and do it all over again because, man, do they stink and do they treat their players like garbage. So, sorry, Daniel Jones. Good luck to you wherever you end up. I'm sure you're going to end up in a team and actually do way better. But good luck to you. Sorry you had to deal with all that shit. I don't wish that on average players like yourself. So anyway, moving on. No real Yankees updates. They talked to Soto, and Soto pretty much was like, if you improve the team and pay me, well, we can talk. Which is like, yeah, no shit, Soto. The LPDS has been talking about that the entire season, buddy. The team stunk. It was you and Judge all regular season, and then it was you and a little bit of Glaber on the offensive side and Stanton all postseason. That was it. So no shit, they got to improve the team. We'll see if Cashman does anything about that. Probably not, though. Anyway, the weather here in Texas has started to change. We're mid-November, starting to get towards late November. We got Thanksgiving coming up. Talk about it a little bit in the Junction, and the weather's starting to change. And I'm very torn about it because it's nice and cool. It's one of those where it's like low 50s at night, 70s during the day, kind of nice situation. But as it starts to get cooler at night, the tomato plants are not going to make it. Okay, the growth of the tomatoes is not going to get to where we need them to be. I just want enough tomatoes to make one batch of sauce. I'm certainly not going to have enough tomatoes to give to anybody. So if anybody was looking for tomatoes, friends, family, neighbors, whatever, that's not going to happen. Okay, I'm looking to I have about 15 tomatoes that are on the cusp of being ripe and ready to pick that I just need to get done. If they can get ripe enough to pick or even close to ripe, because I can get them ripe indoors, there are methods to get those red and ripe and ready to rock and roll. They're not there yet. They're not even ready to be pulled for that maneuvering. But if I could get them there, I can at least make one batch of sauce for myself, and that's a victory in my book. The peppers, absolute victory. I'm actually going to pick some more. By the time this airs, I'll have picked more over the weekend, and hopefully enough to make another batch of delicious hot pepper stuff that I make. I love those. Those were great for me, the peppers. So I'm excited to make more of those next year too and plant more of those. But the tomatoes, it's getting bleak. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting dark, Chester. So we need to figure out a way to fast track this as much as possible to get those 15 tomatoes back in the house and ready to rock and roll for victory. I mean, honestly, it was a victory overall on the tomato side because I never had plants grow this big and full, and I never had this many tomatoes even on the plant, let alone, I already pulled 10. So it's not like we had nothing. We had tomatoes. This is the first time in years I've actually had tomatoes that I can pull and do something with. So that was great. But if I could get this one batch of sauce, that's a real victory for the LPDS. So that's why I'm a little torn about this weather. It's nicer during the day. I can still take what is YouTube doing thumbs down? There's no thumbs down. No thumbs down. It's nice to be able to still go outside and de-shirt and get some sun in, but at night it's nice and cool, and it's helps with the power bill as well. So I enjoy that, of course, but I was just thinking about the tomatoes. That's all I'm thinking about. In fact, I was talking to the Wet Cat creature and Mrs. Wet Cat Catwoman when we were hitting the sticks a little while ago, and creature was talking about like, oh yeah, the weather's finally getting nice and cool. And before I can even say it, Mrs. Wet Cat was like, oh, you're probably not liking that because of the tomatoes, huh? I was like, you guessed it. You guessed it. I'm very nervous about it. I like the weather, but I don't like the implications of what it can do to all this hard work. So we're coming down to the wire, folks. It's like in the movie Homeward Bound. At the end, spoiler alert, the movie came out in the 90s. You should have seen it already. When the dog and the cat come back to the yard, and then they're sitting there waiting for the third dog to come, and they don't know if it's gonna come, and they're like, ah, shit, he probably didn't make it. And then he shows up at the end. That's what I need. I need the third dog to show up at the end to power through, so we can get this sauce. It's coming down to the wire. I'm gonna do whatever I can to expedite this. I'll use warm water when I water the plants. I don't know what I'm gonna do to figure this out, but it's gonna be a melee. We're gonna be in the trenches here, okay? And it's gonna be a foot race to the end, and we're gonna see. You're not gonna see anything. You're just gonna see smog and cold weather and shit flying everywhere. And all of a sudden, what I want is to come out of the dust with a batch of sauce that we were able to make from our tomatoes here at the LPDS. That's what I want to happen. So after I record this and post this, I'm digging in. Okay? We are on the final stretch, down to the wire. Any other analogy you can use for the end is near, and we need to do whatever we can to hit that home run. And those are all stupid sayings, but that's all I can think of to describe the situation we're in now. I really enjoy the cooler weather. It's nice. It's very refreshing, and it's not too cold, so you can still function and do stuff outside, which I really enjoy. But, tomatoes. Anyway, with that, we'll get into the good stuff, and we'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Gary Gergich's Gizzards. Are you looking for that one Thanksgiving dish that's going to wow your family and make you the talk of the town? Then bring a bowl of Gergich Gizzards to the table this Thanksgiving. Gary harvests the finest gizzards from inside the healthiest turkeys, boils them and seasons them with Indiana's best seasonings. So all you have to do is pick it up on your way to your family and be ready to save Thanksgiving from the dried up fruitcake that your aunt brought or the stale box of mashed potatoes your deadbeat cousin who still lives with his parents microwaved 5 minutes before dinner. So to get the best gizzard dish on this side of the Mississippi, visit www.gizzyglizzy.com and use the promo code STUFFTHIS for 29% off your bowl of Gary Gergich's gizzards. Anyway, these stink. The Cage fact. It has been brought to my attention that Nic Cage is in active talks right now, actively, to bring back the Ghost Rider in an upcoming Marvel movie. One of the later Avengers movies, I guess. Doomsday or something of Justice or some shit like that. I don't exactly know. They don't know exactly what movie, but he's in talks to bring back Johnny Blaze, that version of Ghost Rider, to the Marvel universe for one of these movies. I don't know if it's going to be a cameo. I don't know if he's going to be a full-on side character or what, but active talks. Now, I liked Ghost Rider. It stunk. It was stupid, especially Ghost Rider 2 Spirit of Vengeance. The movie was objectively not good, but Nic Cage was fun to watch in it. I mean, he was a motorcycle stuntman that made a deal with the devil to turn into the Ghost Rider, a flaming skull on a motorcycle whenever evil was in town. And Nic Cage played that guy. He played the Ghost Rider. So, of course, he's going to be entertaining and phenomenal. But the movie, the first one was okay. It wasn't terrible. The second one was stinky. But it was still, I still watched it. I'd still watch it again. I have it on in the background if I'm like cleaning the house or whatever, and I see the movie on. Yeah, I'll pop it on. I'll keep it on like TNT or TBS or wherever they play with commercials. Sure, why not? I'm not gonna go watch it from beginning to end much again. That's not one of those movies, but yeah, objectively not the best series, but Nic Cage. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it. So I'm excited to see, at the idea of him being Ghost Rider again. They talked about having Ghost Rider be in the Deadpool Wolverine movie, but excuse me, spoiler alert, he wasn't in that one. That kind of fell through at the end. Not fell through, but just never materialized, I guess you could say. It didn't. There wasn't like I'm not doing it anymore, or we don't want you anymore. It just kind of never completed. So maybe they heard about that and they're like, oh, let's get Cage back in the leather and flames, back on that hog again, so to speak. So that would be nice. I'm excited for that. I would imagine, I'm going to be honest, I believe that would come out before anything with a National Treasure 3, though at the rate they're going with that whole stupid shit. So now I'm looking forward to Johnny Blaze coming back before National Treasure 3, before Ben Gates. So we'll see. But that's the Cage fact. So we'll move over to the Junction. I'll spin the logo up. We got Thanksgiving happening this week. Now, I don't know when you're tuning into this. Could be after Thanksgiving. If so, happy Thanksgiving. Hope it was a good one. I'll talk more about how Thanksgiving went in next episode after Thanksgiving happens. But this is more of like a gentle reminder to everybody. Thanksgiving is great as far as holidays go. It's usually, at least for my family historically, it's a big food holiday. I think it's a big food holiday for everybody. I think that's what you do. Turkey, stuffing, all the how you doings, whatever. So obviously part of the Holy Holiday Triumvirate, so I'm a big fan of it. But I also spent a lot of time, a lot of Thanksgivings away from home, and I'm going to be doing that again this year. Um, I'm not going back up to the homeland in New Jersey until Christmas time, and then I'll be up there for a little bit. But Thanksgiving will be done here at the LPDS compound, uh, which obviously I'm bummed I'm not going to be with my family. That was a choice though, to focus on what I need to get done down here before the winter holidays comes, and I'm going up. I usually go up in the wintertime to the family to help them out and to be around them. Really, more so to be around them. They still don't need that much help, which is good. But I need to get. I have stuff to do here. You know, I I live here, so I'd like to stay here and do get my shit done and get after stuff. So yeah, it'll be a little bit of a bummer to not be home, but it was one of those things where it's like this holiday and Easter and some other, the holidays that I normally miss, it's fine. It's not like I've missed one Christmas ever in my entire life with my family. One Christmas. So it's not terrible, to be honest. I've gotten very lucky in that regard that the big holiday Christmas is the one I've been able to spend most of my time at, most of them at home, which is nice. But Thanksgiving, not the same. A lot of solo Thanksgivings, a lot of friends' houses Thanksgivings in different locations based on where I was stationed at the time. And now we're sort of doing it again, but this is a little bit more on my own volition because I want to get some stuff done. And I am excited for the Thanksgiving feast that myself and my buddy, the Creature, a recurring guest on here, will be having on Black Friday, actually. It'll be a day late Thanksgiving, the next day Thanksgiving, because Creature's working and we're going to do it right. So we don't want to half-ass this. We don't want to rush it. We don't want to be, so we have Friday available to do it right. And we're going to have a feast. I already got a turkey. I'm going to be making this special stuffing that I saw on this Instagram page. It was actually an old friend I went to middle school with. She's a big time, not social media chef, but she's a big time chef and cook type of person. Not chef, but cook, Italian cook or whatever. Cooking with Nona. You might have seen her on Instagram, but she had this recipe for this awesome looking stuffing I'm going to try out. We're going to have, I'm going to make probably some chocolate chip banana bread for dessert. Creatures getting a whole bunch of desserts together. I might make some pasta with sausage and meatballs. I don't know yet. Maybe some vegetables. I don't know if I want to spend my stomach space on vegetables when we have all these desserts coming in hot. So I got some cranberry sauce. I'm gonna get some nice rolls for Thanksgiving. I'm also gonna get some nice like Italian sandwich rolls so I can make delicious leftover turkey sandwiches. I'll put some bacon on there. I'll slather in all the fixings, the stuffing, some gravy, some cranberry sauce. Ooh, I'm excited. I like Thanksgiving more so for the leftovers that I can, and all the things I can do with them than I do the actual holiday itself almost. When it comes to the food particularly, obviously I like it fresh, but to know I'm going to have a few days worth of turkey and all the goods, I'm okay making that for two. I'll make a whole feast for just two of us because I know that meal is really feeding me for days and days and days. Sometimes a couple times I've made turkeys that were like 18 pounds for just me. And I had a delicious Thanksgiving meal. And then I made some turkey soup with that. And then I made turkey sandwiches for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I had soup that I gave to people and I had for months on end afterwards. And I say months, and here's why I say months, and most of you are going to know why, because soup is not a meal. I'll eat it as a side dish. So obviously I wasn't eating a lot of soup all the time because I don't want I don't want my side of my dinner to be soup all the time. So it lasted me a long time, and I wasn't eating just turkey soup. It's not a meal. It's part of a meal. Soup is not a meal, folks. I don't care what you say. There's nothing you can say to convince me otherwise. It always is with something else. Soup is with something else all the time for me, all the time. Or it's an appetizer to a full meal. That's the only time it looks like it's solo for me is when it's a prequel to something else. But this year, I don't think I'm going to make turkey soup. I only have a 12-pound, 13-pound bird. And obviously, you're not getting 12 or 13 pounds of meat out of that because there's bones in there and there's Gary Gergich's gizzards that got to go. Plus, the creature is going to, have some, take some with him. So I'll have enough for a couple days, probably worth of turkey, but not enough for soup. I'm not going to make 2 cups of soup out of all that. I'm not wasting good turkey on just soup only. So, but I'm excited for that. And it'll be nice to spend time with somebody who also can't otherwise go home to be with their family and loved ones as well. If you remember several years back when I was in the trenches of warfare in the modern day D-Day in Virginia Beach, we had a Thanksgiving special event, and it was a Zoom Thanksgiving dinner between me and the creature, and we made peanut butter and jelly hamburgers, and they were delicious. And for those of you who didn't see that and think you're gonna get grossed out by that idea, all I need you to do is try it out. Okay? You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me. But before you make an opinion, or make a judgment on it, you have to try it. You don't have to try it in general, but if you want to have an opinion, you want to think it's gross or whatever, try it first. Okay? I promise you'll have a different idea of it after. Okay? The peanut butter burger is one of the best crazy combinations I've ever had in my entire existence of life. And I mix a lot of crap together. Okay? I am not one of those, I'm a mental case, but I'm not one of the mental cases that has to keep food separate and this and that. No, I'm mixing everything together. I'm trying out to see what combinations work. I've eaten some crazy stuff in my day. This is by far the best of the crazy combinations I had. And it's not just peanut butter. You could do just peanut butter on top of your burger, and that's fine. You could get it with jelly. There's different types of jellies. You can try pepper jelly with a little kick to it. Regular jelly, that's also good too. Here's another thing that's really good. And this is where it all started for me. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup on the burger. Sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. If you haven't watched the episode that I'm talking about from a couple years back, it was a special Thanksgiving episode. The only time we had a midweek episode, more than one episode for that week since the beginning. The first 2 episodes I think I put out within like 3 days of each other of this show. And after that, it's been one a week, basically the entire time, except for that one. So you can't miss it. Thanksgiving special with me and the creature on Zoom. He was in Florida. I was in D-Day. And we made these burgers, and they were phenomenal. And you can ask him. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he was skeptical about it in the beginning as well. And then I took him to the place when he came to visit me in war, and he had one. I think it's when he changed his mind. I could be wrong. He might have liked the idea the whole time. I don't know, but we enjoyed them. They were delicious. This year we get to do it again, but in person together, and we're having a more traditional feast. Who knows? I might add a couple of side burg daddies to the menu, folks. We're having a feast. Okay? I don't care if I'm cooking for 2. In my head, I'm cooking for 50. And we're going to have a good time. And it's going to be great. And I'm excited for it. And in my head, I'm thinking about it right now, how great that's going to be. And I'm thankful for that. And that's really the message and the reminder I want to give to everybody as we do basically every Thanksgiving season. And it's really one of the key reasons when the Big 3 became an official part of the LPDS if you remember years and years ago, back when we first started the Big Three, it was because it was another Thanksgiving season where people pretended to be thankful and pretended to be nice to their families and loved ones and friends. And then literally the very next day, they were out cutting each other's throats and stomping on each other on Black Friday to get deals on a TV and an Xbox and other stupid shit, consumerism shit. And that's where I went on the rant about we need to be thankful more than just on the holidays, they tell you to be thankful. It's not a checkbox item. It should be something you do all the time. And that's what sparked publicizing, bringing the Big Three to light as an integral part of not just the LPDS, but an integral part in our daily habits. Our everyday lives now have become following the Big Three, becoming better. And it came about because of the Thanksgiving season and the holiday season where people put on this show just because it's the holiday, and then they go right back to being shitty people immediately after. Immediately after. And it happens during Christmas, too. It actually happens before Christmas when people are buying gifts for their families. They're assholes. It's complete mayhem out there. Not so much now with the rise of internet shopping, online shopping, but people are absolute animals when it comes to that. They don't care about anybody else but themselves and buying their products and material things for their children. Now, I get it. They're trying to make their children have good Christmases, whatever. But there are better ways to do that. And then on Christmas comes, everybody's all lovey-dovey and hugging, and a Christmas miracle, and Santa came, and everybody's great, and I hope you're happy. And then it's right back to being shitty and negative and taking things for granted again. And that's what sparks the LPDS's dedication to the Big Three. And that's what this reminder is for. The Holy Holiday Triumvirate is an opportunity to enjoy time with your family, have fun dressing up for Halloween and being spooky and stuff and having a good time. And if you have a family, that's an opportunity to have fun with them too and get silly and crazy on Halloween, getting cool costumes and stuff, having haunted houses and watching scary movies and all that stuff. And then the other holidays of the Triumvirate are about spending the time with your family, genuinely spending time and being thankful that you get to spend those opportunities with your family. And in fact, I think it started because of another Thanksgiving I wasn't able to be home, too. Could have been that, too. I don't exactly remember, but the Big Three I'm talking, that's what started it. But genuinely being thankful for being able to be with your family and spending that time and having presents under the tree on Christmas and having a table full of delicious food, or even if it's shitty food, even if your family sucks at cooking, it's still food on the table. I walked to the gym today and there was this homeless lady sitting on the curb begging for food from people. I wasn't close enough for her to beg to me about it, but you can hear her begging. I'm starving. Just give me something. I'm starving. At least you have your shitty food on the table with a roof over your head that you can eat with your family and loved ones. And there's bums on the street who can't do any of that. They can't do that any day, let alone a holiday. They're scrounging for food and shelter every single day. But we get to do that. We get that opportunity to spend the time with our loved ones and enjoy meals and break bread and open presents on Christmas and watch cheesy Christmas movies and the Christmas Story marathon and all that other stuff that people take for granted. We get to do that every year. And it's constantly disheartening to see people take that for granted and immediately fall back into negativity and shittiness and lack of consideration and apathy towards others. It's absolutely disheartening when that happens. So that's why this is a reminder for all of you guys out there to I know the LPDS is doing it, so I'm saying to keep doing what you're doing and living your values every day. Don't pretend to be nice and polite and happy and thankful, and then immediately after the holiday is over, go be an asshole and angry and shit talk behind people's back and gossip and this and that and whatever. While you have the opportunity still to be good and be better and be thankful, take that opportunity. We have it this week with Thanksgiving. If you're listening to this episode, you have that opportunity. So take it. Because there's going to come a time when we don't have it anymore. When we don't have that opportunity, we don't have the next day. It could be tomorrow. That's the crazy thing that people I don't think about enough. And it sounds morbid and crazy and whatever, but we don't even know if we're going to be here tomorrow. We just assume we are. We just go to bed and assume I'm waking up tomorrow and all this shit that annoys me and bothers me about people around me and things going on in my life are still going to be there and this and that. When it should be the opposite. We should be going to bed thanking whoever it is you are thankful towards, whether it's the big man upstairs in red or any other religious figure that you're faithful to, thanking them, thanks for another day here. And then when you wake up in the morning, damn it, thank you. Thank God, or thank Santa Claus, or thank whoever that I'm here again. I get to go and tackle another day. So remember that for this Thanksgiving holiday and all of them, all the holidays and every day, a friendly reminder. Instead of rolling your eyes that you have to go to Aunt Edna's house for Thanksgiving this year, or you don't like your in-laws because they're annoying and they micromanage you and they have a comment about the way you parent or whatever it is, remember you get the opportunity to do that. So don't roll your eyes. Be thankful for that. Okay? Don't forget, the in-laws that you hate made the spouse that you love more than anybody else in this world. Okay? So give them a little credit for that. Okay? Be thankful for that. When you look at your in-laws that you hate and despise, look at them as the people who brought you the love of your life, your spouse, your significant other. And maybe don't eye roll at the very sight of them next time. Take the opportunity to remind yourself that this is good. Things are good. Life is good. We all have it great right now. Some better than others, obviously. It's a spectrum. It is a scale. But if you're listening to this and you have plans for Thanksgiving, you're doing pretty damn good. And to remember that and to cherish it and be thankful for it, not just on Thanksgiving, but every day. And with that, to tie a bow around this, the big three. The three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, less stressed, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something physically, mentally, or emotionally to improve your health and fitness physically, mentally, or emotionally. So whether it's a full exercise at the gym, going for a walk after a meal, jumping jacks during commercial breaks, or it's breaking a mental sweat and reading, doing a crossword puzzle, taking on a new hobby, or you're meditating, you're doing yoga, you're praying, you're doing breath work for the emotional side. Do one thing every day to improve your physical, mental, or emotional health and wellness. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. remember, there's always going to be opportunities to be shitty. I get it. That's what makes it so hard. There's a ton of them out there all the time. But there's also always going to be opportunities to be good and not shitty. And I say both of those. I say good and not shitty because you don't have to, I'm not asking you to go actively go hug your enemy and buy them presents and do that shit. Just omit yourself from the negative situations. When those opportunities arise to either respond to somebody negatively or to initiate a negative conversation or a negative post on social media, just take the LPDS step back. Take a deep breath, 6 seconds in, hold for 2, 7 seconds out, and ask yourself, what positivity am I bringing to the world by making this post or this response to this negative person or anything of that nature? There is none. And if you think there is, you should probably get help for that too. But really, there's none. There is nothing positive that comes from being negative or shitty out in the ether. Trust me, I've done it before. I still catch myself doing it. And no good comes out of it when I fall back and fail on the big three in that regard. It's very difficult. I get it. But omit yourself from the situation. Go focus on more positive, productive things with your lives. Number 3, the most important one, to be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Every day, think about at least one thing that's good in your life and think about how shitty your life would be like without that thing or that person or that experience or that memory or whatever it is. And that'll put you in the state of gratitude that'll allow you to not take things for granted, and it'll also put you in a position to where it's much easier to not be a shitty person and to be able to omit yourselves from those negative situations. And then you can go focus on more positive, productive things in your lives, like exercising every day. And if you follow the 3 pillars, if you do those 3 things a little bit each and every day and make it a point each and every day to work towards them, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, less stressed, healthier, more genuine human being. You'll be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land, not just on the damn holidays either. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends and enemies. Hit the hotline. I haven't got a hotline call in a while. I know everyone's busy with the holiday triumvirate being here and everyone's doing their thing, and I get it. But please hit the hotline if you'd like. I would love it if you did. 202-670-1114 is the hotline. Tell your friends about it. When you see a stranger and they ask for your phone number, give them the hotline number, 202-670-1114. Tell them to call. Don't text, call. They could text too. I read the text message. So if ladies out there, if anyone's giving out, if you're giving out your phone number to anyone, give them the hotline. I'll have a conversation with these people. I don't care. And we'll talk about it on the show. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.